Okay, we'll start this video. This is a lien against my house. This lien was put here 20 years ago with the way they built the house and they graded it. I'm going to go through these pictures real quick. These pictures were taken in the spring of 2004. And right here, this is the lien that was built into my house. I was drafted 20 years ago by the people that built this golf course. Drafted this lot 20 years ago to be a retention basin above the golf course. Right here, I'm going to refer to that as ground zero or the wet spot. But ground zero this is the lowest part of all of parcel 12. This is one of the lowest lots, lowest elevation of any lot in parcel 12. And these two houses are out of compliance. They were the first two pads laid in parcel 12. This pad was laid intentionally. It was designed to be, the finished floor elevation was to be reduced by 2.5 inches, and this one was reduced by 1.5 inches or 2 inches. It came out 3 here. This is probably 2. If I take my water levels from this patio around the corner to the other patio, they're 1 inch apart. And this one is, this house is subordinate to that one by 1 inch. So all the water that comes off this roof, all the water that comes off this lot comes back and my patio goes underwater. Now the house that's on this side of the house over here, that's 3 inches higher. And I have the same thing over there. I get a lake between both of my houses. That went on for about 10 years. Here it is, more evidence. This house is 1 inch higher than here. During the 1,000-year storm, we had water wall to wall. And right here is the deepest part. It's probably 2 or 3 inches deep right there as we speak. And when it gets up to the wall, and it went past this bush. And my patio was underwater. Okay, it isn't supposed to work like that. All lots are supposed to drain, and especially the lots that border the golf course were designed on paper. The elevations and the elevations that were dictated on the blueprint were not followed. They took my house and lowered the elevation. They lowered the elevation of this house, and they put a berm across both properties. You can see a wet spot here where it's moist. That's where the puddle always starts and it always ends. Here it is, a better look. This isn't supposed to happen. You can see this was before I put gutters on the house. You can see where the water came off the gutters, and it had to go uphill, so it pooled in front of the house. When I would have a serious rainstorm, before I did any work on this, here it is. Here's the ground zero, the wet spot, right here. This isn't supposed to be here. There's supposed to be sufficient grading where all the water that accumulates between the house runs onto the golf course. I will show you in later videos and explain to you how they got away with doing this. But this is my draft notice. I was conscripted. When I bought this house, they conscripted me. A bunch of redneck engineers decided that they were going to drop this house almost 3 inches and this one almost 2 inches. Okay, and right here I want to show you that's a 75-foot eave. And this house right here, the water runs north and south off the roof. It runs onto the patio roof, and I have gutters. So the water goes through gutters through pipes out to the property line. My neighbor won't do that or hasn't done that. I try to explain to him that I've got 75 foot of eave here, that I'm not dumping water between the houses. I'm dumping it on the patio roof. It's going in the gutters off. This guy right here, if we get over 2 days, 3 inches of rain in 2 days, it's like Niagara Falls off the sieve, and the water collects between the two houses and it can't get out. It's landlocked, trapped. They built a retention basin. They didn't follow the plan. As far as the grading, they did everything wrong. Everything is uphill from here. There's a bowl right here. It's like cupped out. You can see right here. I'll show you in other pictures what happened. Right here. See where it's cupped out right here? If I can blow it up. This cupping. You see where the bottom, you see where the wet spot is? This up here is about 3 or 4 inches higher. This is how the houses came. The houses came in on a truck. That's a house right there. That is a house that they brought in on a truck. All the pieces are there. Might as well be a Lincoln log set. All right. That's all the houses were built here. They were built from kits. All right. All the things are numbered. They know where to put them. But like I said, that's the wet spot. This is my neighbor's house. I'm subjugated to them because my patio is an inch lower than their patio. And here, I want to blow this up. Here's what I've lost over the years. I used to have that. I used to have that view. That's the spring of 2004. That's the view I bought. I don't have it anymore. Through reconstruction, like Southern Reconstruction down south, they took it away from me. They planted a tree out there. But there it is. Everything is uphill. I told somebody in Buckeye about it, that I was getting these big lakes of water between my house and my patio, and some storms would go underwater. And they told me that you better look into it. You better look into it because that isn't right. We have monsoons here. It doesn't rain often, but when it does, make sure that your drainage is set up. Well, right here, you're looking at a retention basin. The water, the only way that water is going to disappear from there is through absorption or evaporation. There's no pipe. Or when this picture was taken, there was no pipe going out to the golf course. Now there is. I've turned this from retention to detention. I've got 3 pipes going. One pipe goes from my downspouts of my gutters. A 3-inch pipe goes out to the property line. I got another 3-inch pipe that I put right here in the lowest spot. That goes out to the property line. And I took another pipe from my neighbor's house. I dug a ditch here and put in a leach pipe and turned the corner, turned it 90 degrees and connected it to a pipe to go out to the property line. I had to do this. This was aftermarket. Okay? If I hadn't have done that, I'd still have this situation. Now, we don't get lakes that last any period of time here. The lake, whenever it forms, it has a pipe to take it out to the golf course. But I wanted to show you, this is a booby trap. This is sabotage. This is co-opting. When they filled in tract A and took the drain function out of tract A, they made this the alternate drain, the ultimate outfall elevation. If the underground pipe that took the water out of the neighborhood to the lake, if that pipe should fail, become overwhelmed for any reason, or plug, or debris was to form in the mouth of that slit, if a bunch of trees and it formed a little dam and the water started building up, that water, the builders of my house, the builders of this house, and the builders of the Tract A designed, this was their homegrown, redneck, homegrown. This is some Buckeye homegrown right here. These home growers out here said, we're not going to have Tract A as a drain. We're going to give that to our friends from the Midwest. We're not going to spend the money that we're supposed to spend to make Tract A legal for all its functions of being an ingress and egress for emergency vehicles, of being an access easement for both pedestrians and golf carts, for being an access for maintenance vehicles, to be a drain, a functioning drain that works per the book. It's neither of those. It was taken out of service and they substituted this. You're looking at the new Tract A. And I had to buy FEMA flood insurance for the government at about $400 a year on top of my regular insurance, flood insurance, because I was the adult in the room. Tract A was plugged up. No water was ever going to run out of it. I understood that if we had any kind of a historical rain event, that if that pipe underneath Tract A plugged up, all the water was coming through here. This was the next lowest elevation. Okay, booby-trapped. Okay, booby-trapped. And I'm going to tell you, I spent 4 years in the Marine Corps during Vietnam. Okay, from 1968 to 1972. And from one thing of being in the Marine Corps, and during that period of time, and because I'm a baby boomer that went through that whole thing, my mantra is question authority. My mantra is dissent is the purest form of patriotism. When I found out what happened here, and when a local surveyor looks at, he stands right where this arrow is, and I tell him that I'm flooding and I'm getting lakes, and he tells me I don't even have to take my equipment out of the car. I can see what they did. I've been doing it for 35 years. I can see by eye. And I go, what are you trying to tell me? He says, what I'm trying to tell you is they made you it. More or less, when I say I got conscripted or I got drafted by Meritage, the golf course, and the town of Buckeye to be the drain bitch up here, to be the water mule in a storm. All right? We put a berm between you and the golf course. We lowered your house 3 inches. We lowered the other guy's house. All right? We're not going to let the water out of here. You're our drain bitch. Okay? You're the mule up there. Okay? And here, I can show you if I can blow this up. The landscapers is what they really did when they came in, and the builders and the landscapers got together. You can see a little berm here. Maybe you can see it, but it's the beginning of a berm. They made an arc berm. But all this water, everything was sculpted, graded to drain backwards. To drain backwards. Okay, onto my lot. This is right here. The guy took one look. He says, everything is uphill from here. They made you it. You're it. And he says, he was going to survey it, but when he called up the town of Buckeye, they wanted to charge him like $500 for the grading plans, the master grading plans, and the master utility plans. He told me, he says, you go get the grading plans and the utility plans. He says, you'll probably see something different because those are the master plans for the community. So he called me up and he says, they want to charge me $500, but you can get them for free if because of freedom of information. Since you're the owner of that property, you can go in under freedom of information and get those plans for free. And that's what I did. And while I was in there, I says, do you have the permits for the floor elevation? Do you have the permits for all the houses? And the lady said, we don't keep the permits here. We don't have the permit. So I took the master plan. I knew what the blueprint said my house is supposed to be, but I didn't have the permit yet. I got that permit from Caroline Clinton. Caroline Clinton, I'll show you. I might have showed you this already, but here it is. Here's the water where it starts. There's about 5 or 6 inches elevation between that lot and here. Okay? My patio used to go underwater. I used to have a lake here. All right? And booby-trapped. Now, I would say it was a cabala of local business, local racketeers, local lodge brothers, local home growers, street engineers. You might even have a Marine or two like me thrown in there because Marines know how to steal, okay? You don't spend 4 or 5 years in the Marine Corps, 6 years, and decide that you're going to play it straight. You have to steal as a Marine to have anything. I know, I was in the Marine Air Wing, okay? We showed up at the Navy base. The Navy base had everything. I mean, these guys had everything. We show up in an Air Force base. The Air Force base had even more than the Navy base. The Marines, our fighter squadrons, we were doing stuff with a rock and a stick. Okay? If we didn't steal, we didn't have anything. So I understand the mentality of Marines, and there was probably a Marine or two in with this lodge brothers, this group of racketeers that decided to disadvantage my lot, compromise my lot by making it a retention basin and protecting the ladies' tee box. That's what took place. Short and sweet of it. That's short and sweet of it. That's the facts. And I can't get anybody to talk to me. And right now I'm being charged $100 a day fine for my yard, and nobody will talk to me about what happened here. How I've already got a forever lien against my house. My sewer pipes do not work. Okay? You put a governor on them. You installed a drag on my sewer pipes. By lowering the finished floor elevation, you reduce the gravity, the motive force that causes the sewage to run to the street. Those sewer pipes don't have electrical wires going to them. They don't have batteries going to them. They're a purely passive system. They rely on gravity. They rely on gravity over a distance of a 90 or 100 feet. When you drop the house 3 inches, you've significantly slowed the fluid, the sewage going through those pipes. You tampered with the pitch. You tampered with the velocity of the fluid going through the pipes. And you only did it to my house. You did it to this house. You did it to that house. You did it to my house at the tune of 3 inches. You did it to this house, tune of 2 inches. All right? I've got forever and ever a lien on my house, on my sewage system. Okay? Now, the reason I haven't had any problems, and when you go to talk to the HOA, they go, well, you haven't had any problem. I haven't had any problems because for about 12 years, my girlfriend lived in this house by herself. She kept to herself. She never threw parties. She didn't have people come and visit and stay overnight for a week at a time. Or she didn't have friends, a whole family of people show up to her house. I've sat here for 19 years and I've seen what's happening. What happens? If somebody rents this, I've seen this house has been rented, and you go over one year or one winter, and there was like three groups of people that lived in the house in one winter. There'd be a couple of people be there for a month. They'd go away. Another person would come in for a month, and that was the HOA looking the other way. That was the HOA looking the other way. But I know from experience that a lot of people, they get a lot of visitors, and I've my own family, when part of my family moved out here, and they had a lot of friends back home. They had so many visitors to the house. If that happens with my house, and they start loading up the sewer pipes, the reason I haven't had any problems with this house is because I've lived here alone and my girlfriend lived here alone. We don't throw parties. And since I found out what they did to the sewer pipes, since I found out that they put a lien against my house by tampering with the sewer pipes forever and ever, I don't run the garbage disposal. She was instructed not to run the garbage disposal. Okay? Uh, Always make sure you got a strainer over the drain no matter what you do. When you empty the sink and you wash dishes, make sure there's a strainer. We don't want anything sediment, anything solid, anything like that getting into the sewer pipes because they're out of compliance. They don't run as fast as they're supposed to. The builders out here, these rednecks that decided to draft me 20 years ago, they put sand in my saddle. Okay? Now, another thing besides putting sand in my saddle is they planted another tree down the hill from this one. Okay? Right now, I don't have this view anymore. All I see is green from left to right. They planted a tree down there. They haven't touched it. It's a thorny Palo Verde. And this tree is out of control. They never trim them. The only trimming they do to the trees is to keep the tree from overhanging the cart path. Once that they get the tree where it isn't overhanging the cart path, they stop trimming. So now I've got wall to wall green here. This beautiful view that I bought years ago went away. And you can see here, ground zero, everything is uphill. That's what the guy told me, the surveyor. He looked at me straight in the eye and he says, they made you it. Basically, I'm the water mule up here. They made me the water bitch. They didn't tell me these people, these enthusiasts of the art of the deal. This was before Donald Trump's book came out. And I guess they read the book and they put this deal together, and it was a deal. These people from the Midwest got Tract A taken out of service for them. It became their private little arboretum, their privacy, while the rest of us paid for it. They didn't tell anybody. Okay? We pulled this off. We didn't tell anybody. Nobody will ever figure this out. That guy from California, he's going to bear the brunt. All right? His cart path that he thought he had 40 feet from his house, that's why he bought the house. He had a cart path. He thought he was going to drive his golf cart over track day onto the golf course every day. That's gone. That's all been taken away. So this is what I'm telling you about. I've got a lien against this house. I can't sell it. No realtor in the West Valley will go near this house because I insist on putting down on the listing that Tract A is out of compliance. It's not being used. It's a multitask, a multi-use easement, and it's not being used fully. They've got rocks and a sign to prohibit emergency vehicles and golf carts. It isn't drained right. It has this threshold on the end of it. And for anybody, you have a lot of nerve finding me $100. Why don't you get in a golf cart there, Caroline? Get in your little golf cart and have somebody drive you out to the 6th tee. And when you're sitting at the 6th tee, look at the end of Tract A. Tract A is an access easement. You've got doggy bags up there at the end of it. People are supposed to be able to walk their dog. It's an access easement. Take a look at Tract A. When you see that crevice, that Grand Canyon at the end of it. When I worked for the airline, every year for about 20 years, I had to watch videos for 2 days to stay current with my qualification. And every year there was a video. I got to where you knew what you were going to watch. Every year it was the same video. It was called Trip Fall Hazards in the Workplace. Trip Fall Hazards. Now, Caroline, I want you to go out to the end of Tract A, and you have to admit it's an access easement. It's on the plat map as an access easement. All right? Try to imagine at night if somebody was walking down through there at night and it's not lit and they understood it to be an access easement and they stepped in that crevice. All right? And you're finding me $100 a day because I've got a little seating area out on my, you can't see the forest for the trees. I'm going to tell you a little story, Caroline. When I get on all of this, I'm going to make a special video about you and me and people from the UK. I've got some experience. United was an international airline. That means their employees was from all over the world. I worked in Oakland and San Francisco for United and Boston, and we had an international work group, very diversified, okay? And I've dealt with a lot of people from the UK, like you. And I'll make a special video about how I feel about people from the UK and my experience with people from the UK. Okay? But we'll stop right here. I'm going to stop this video. And if it comes out good, I'm putting it on YouTube.